Hello and welcome to This Woman's Work, a space where you can hear and read about some amazing women, the fantastic jobs they do and the paths that have led them to where they are today. Right, I'm here today with Bryony, otherwise known as Bo. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Could you tell the listener what it is you do for a living?
Okay, so this is very new, so this is kind of something I've been doing for the last 18 months now. So technically I'm a music journalist, so
Amazing!
I go out and I interview bands, I go to gigs and festivals and I review them, I review albums, I talk about music.
Yeah, I mean... literally, it's cool. And we're sitting in the coolest house. I'm just going to say that now. Right, okay. Before we go too far into that, as always, we track back. We talk about little Bryony. What was she like? What was she into?
Okay, she was, now, I always kind of say this to everybody and everybody always says, really, you? Are you sure?
Oh, okay.
I was that child that nobody noticed. I quietly got through life. I didn't say a peep.
Really?
I stayed in the background. I was just quiet. I didn't really know who I was.
But sussing it all out, do you think?
Yeah,
kind of taking it all in, yeah.
I've always been an observer.
Yeah.
I've always been, I kind of study people, and I have even as a child.
Yeah,
I would study
it's quite a
people and
journalistic
work out
trait,
people.
isn't it?
But I didn't want to be noticed, and so I just quietly got by in life for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what, even through, so primary school into secondary school, you were still...
all the way through, yeah. And I studied kind of very uninteresting subjects that I didn't really kind of have a kind of a goal or a kind of passion that stood out or anything. I just cruised through. I got kind of middle level grades all the way through school. And then I got to year 12, to start off my A-levels.
Yeah.
And I suddenly went, okay, I've decided that I want to join theatre and drama. And everybody around me was like, what? Like, where has this come from?
Yeah.
And then for a long time, that became my world, like performing arts.
And do you even know where that came from? I mean, where did that come from?
Absolutely.
Was it just an epiphany one day? Or?
Yeah, because I dropped drama at GCSE. So after year 9, I dropped a lot of those creative subjects. And then I got to my A-levels and the school had to completely change my setup so that it would work. So I had to do my A-levels over 3 years instead of 2 to get the drama back so that I could qualify.
Oh,
because
gosh.
Suddenly my heart had just gone, this
I
is
really
it.
miss this.
Yeah, I need music, I need drama, I need theatre, I need art, I need to be creative.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And then that all worked out?
Yeah, so then I went to university and I studied drama. So,
where did you go?
Lincoln, so it wasn't a performing arts school. I applied for a few performing arts schools, but Lincoln just felt like...
They are so... I mean, I've chatted to the creative people that I've chatted to that also have quite a drama interest. It's quite common, isn't it? They've all touched on how fierce and competitive and ruthless even getting into those sort of colleges, it's can be quite soul destroying. So
completely cut through.
You probably did yourself a favour there.
I think I probably did.
Yeah, it turns some people completely off, doesn't it?
Yeah. I applied for LIPA, which is the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. And when I was applying for that course, I was applying for drama with technical stage design attached to it. So it was actually only a minimal amount of acting. A lot of it was, writing plays, learning how to add stage directions to a play script, and then all the lighting on stage and all of that kind of stuff. That's the course I applied for. But the audition required you to act, sing and dance to get in. I can't sing. The world's worst voice.
Did you rap? I mean, what did you do?
I performed an absolutely horrendous rendition of something from Les Mis, I think.
You went in though. You went in.
I had singing lessons running up to the audition and everything, but it was dire because I couldn't sing. But all of this stuff that I needed for the course, I think I bossed it at that audition.
Yeah.
But they were like, well, if you can't sing, you can't come in. And I was like, well, when I get on the course, I'm not going to need to sing. But yeah. So that turned me off the idea of drama school as such.
Yeah.
So then I went to Lincoln and I studied drama. And it was when I was there that I met all my music friends.
Wow.
And that became my world. completely.
So it's almost like this path had just been waiting to open up. But maybe that's the point of it, though. You weren't really committed before that because you were meant to get to this point and have your world really opened up.
Yeah, completely. And I genuinely believe that I'm where I am now because of people through chance meetings in my life.
Yeah.
That took me in the directions they did. Not job interviews or anything like that, just chance meetings with people that inspired me.
Yeah. Okay, so finish uni. You got all your music buddies. What do you do?
So that was the point where I kind of had a big decision to make, was do I go into the sort of performing arts theatre world? Do I embrace this new music world? Which, I mean, there's huge links between the two of them, but they were very different worlds.
Yeah.
People, again, often are surprised when I tell them that the music world I was in was that very alternative metal, hardcore, very alternative music world, which didn't necessarily fit so much with performing arts.
No,
but there
a bit
are
more
huge
classic.
links.
Yeah.
But there are huge links there. So they were sort of two worlds in themselves, and it was, which way do I go?
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake of playing it safe for a couple of years.
You kind of reverted to your old self.
I did a little bit, and I kept the music world as a hobby and a love, and I went into teaching. And I became a primary school teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I never truly loved.
And had you'd not done your PGCE though during uni, you then had to do that?
Yeah, so I then had to go to another university just for a year, but I did most of it like on placement. So I wasn't at university very much. So I was in schools locally. And just did most of it on placement. But
so a generic teacher or drama focused?
No, primary school. So generic primary school teacher. Yeah. I mean, I ran the little performing arts sort of club at school and a few music bits, and I was involved in the productions and stuff. But job wise, just primary school teacher. I don't know whether it was that little thought in the back of my mind of at some point I want to have a family and that kind of thing.
Yes,
so maybe
it works. Yeah,
play it safe. I don't know. But I was never inspired at work.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked my socks off for those kids, and, you know, I still look back on it and think I did my best for them, but I don't think my heart was in the job because it's never really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it paid the mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wow, so how long were you a teacher for?
Annoyingly, it took me 4 years to do my degree to become a teacher, and then I was a teacher for 4 years after that.
Okay.
So it took me as long to train as it did to actually do the job. And then I left. So
that's okay, because you've still got that now.
Yeah.
And not you've said all of that experience. It will all play into kind of, skill sets, won't it?
Yeah, very much so. But it wasn't the right career path. But it filled a gap at the time. And like you say, I have that as a fallback now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bit of security. And I think shortly after that, I ended up having children. But I think a part of your brain does that, doesn't it? It fires some little thing that sort of nags at you to say, do something secure for a few years.
Yeah.
And, play it safe. And,
I think definitely as women,
Yeah, so I played it safe.
So and then you had your beautiful children.
Yeah. And then I sort of careered off in a very odd direction for a couple of years, but it taught me a huge amount about sort of running business. And again, it was an odd sort of career path I took, but it's helped me a lot with what I'm doing now. So due to some kind of interesting experiences I had during the birth of my children, I ended up sort of volunteering and supporting in some postnatal things here and there.
Yeah.
And then I ended up running some workshops and classes, and I kind of set up a little local business doing postnatal support. And I trained as a doula, I trained as a breastfeeding counsellor.
Wow.
I trained as what else did I do? All sorts of things. I was teaching weaning workshops, and I did some work with mothers with postnatal depression and all sorts of things. And then I went to London and I studied a little diploma to add on as a maternity nanny. So so I did that for.
I mean, that's not bad because that's still playing into your teaching, though, isn't it? There's still a kind of, I guess, you are teaching because you're teaching women, aren't you? There's still. So that that is linked though, isn't it? I can see how you've gone from teaching to children to that to wanting to.
And I was teaching quite a few group workshops to parents, and that was much more closely linked to my kind of teaching course, because I actually set it up in a little mini classroom and I was teaching at workshops. So yeah, but that fitted with the point in my life where I was at, because I had young children, so I could fully relate. And a lot of the work I did was parent to parent, rather than as sort of a medical professional. I was doing it much, much more from a parent to parent point of view.
Yeah. And just wanting to help, basically.
Yeah, completely, yeah. And it worked at the time. And again, I still had music running along as sort of a social kind of hobby side of my life, a passion, but it wasn't my career at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, a lot of it's circumstantial, isn't it? It's like where you are in your life, completely affects what you choose to do with your time.
Yeah, it does.
Music, can we talk music now? Because
absolutely.
I'm very excited. So music has always been my world. I'm one of these people that has music on 100% of the day.
Yeah.
100% of the day. I obsess over, if somebody that I admire or I love brings out new music, I obsess over it, and I will study the album and I will listen to it. All of that, it's my world.
Yeah.
My husband was a musician in a fairly successful band. They did really well. He now runs a business in music. My brother is a musician and he works in a band where that's his job in a band, and nearly all of my best friends. So
it is just, other than your little, that is your world.
Yeah,
then,
it's what I know. Yeah. It's what I know, it's what I understand, Brilliant. It's the world I'm in. And I'd never really, I suppose, considered that I could make it a career until all of my children had grown up and gone to school.
Yeah.
And it was just in the back of my mind, and I thought, if only there was a way. If only there's a way that I could make this my whole world and not just
hobby,
a
passion,
hobby and a love. And there's got to be a way here. There has to be a way. And I guess timing and coincidence just worked out quite well for us. So as a family, there's a website called Gig Guide that's been a long-running company. It was started in 1999 by somebody somewhere else in the country, and it was very successful for a long time. And it was like a platform where if somebody was going to play a gig, they could themselves upload their gig onto that platform and people could find it, like a directory, I guess, is how it used to run. And it did very well for a long time, and it was quite well known. And then it wasn't looked after particularly well, and it wasn't such a household name anymore. And a couple of years ago, we were lucky enough to buy the company, and we've completely revamped it. So now we work in a slightly different way. So it's like an event discovery platform for live music. Yeah. Also a bit of comedy and theatre, but my focus is on the music side of things. Yeah. So again, you can find gig tickets on there, basically, and book tickets for festivals, huge.
So you can get inspiration from there. You can really look at kind of what's coming up, and then obviously you can actually book the tickets.
Yeah, and you can book the tickets through us as well. So that's kind of basics of how it works now. Is that everything's on there. And we needed to find a way to get it out there and to get people to see it and use it. Yeah. So I went, this is where I can bring my kind of passion and my love into making this a big thing. And so my side of the company, because we own it as a family. Yeah. But my role is as a journalist. So I am now building up a huge sort of music news hub on the site. So I'm going out and I'm interviewing bands and musicians, which is incredible. Cool. Yeah. And when new albums come out, I review them, and I go to festivals and gigs and I interview and review. Just living your best life, aren't you? And it's amazing. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. So how full on is that though? I mean, I'm guessing definitely spring, summer. Yeah. Manic full on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think next year, so I'm putting in all my applications at the moment for next year's festival set.
I was going to say, how do you even know how all of that works? Just trial and error?
It's been a huge learning curve over the last year. I've got a lot of great contacts who have put me in touch with brilliant people. So I'm building up a network with PR companies, music PR companies. So it's about getting on lists for their press releases, all of that kind of stuff. So this year has been about building up the contacts. And again, the more interviews you do, the more people want you, because they've seen who you've interviewed and what you've written.
Yeah.
And then other people want you. So this is the building.
So it becomes self-fulfilling once,
Very much so, once you get your name out there. So at the moment, most of my day-to-day job is applying for kind of media passes for festivals for next year, see what we can get. And I've got a couple of interesting interviews lined up before Christmas. Can't tell you they are, but
gosh.
A couple of fairly well-known people coming up before Christmas.
Wow.
Which is exciting.
And so obviously you go and you do the interview, some of these things actually at the gig, do you? Or might you interview people beforehand?
There's two ways we can do it. So some of them I interview in advance if they are advertising a tour. So if they want me to do promo, and then I write what I call a pre-feature, which will go out advertising their tour. And that generally is sort of a one-to-one interview, chat about what they've had going on, a bit of promo, and then And
you have to just go wherever they are, basically?
I've done some on Zoom, so if it's difficult, they're on Zoom. I aim for London if I'm arranging it, but I will travel, which I kind of love. I love that side of the job, and now my children are older, it's easier. So I can do that. So that's the before gig side of things. But the other way that we work is that I will go to an event and I'll do a review. So that will come out afterwards.
Yes.
Generally, if someone's doing a lengthy tour, I would try and get to one of their earliest dates. So the review comes out while they still have tickets for their other events on sale.
I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I know you have a little life.
We do that, and we will cover across the board. So anyone famous, we'll have the tickets up there for. Any of the big names, you can get them through us. But what I want to do as well is I really want to support the grassroots venues, the up-and-coming musicians that are doing really, really well, and they've got potential, but they're perhaps not signed yet, or they've just been signed. And so those are the people that I'm going out, I'm interviewing, I'm talking to, I'm promoting on our social media. That we're perhaps not able to sell tickets for, but I want to do my best to make sure that they've got a platform as well.
Well, also, you're then building relationships, aren't you? Because obviously when they do make it.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so very much on the start of all of this then.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the plan? Where's it going to go?
That's a good question, isn't it? At the moment, it's just, it's blowing my mind how incredible this is. And the focus for me really is to become a better writer. That is my focus. It's tough when you go into a new role because you're being all of these people in one. So it's like, I'm a writer, I'm a social media person, I'm also doing a bit of business and life, admin, and I'm networking, and I'm doing PR, and I'm, so you're sort of jack of all trades, aren't you? At the start,
which, let's face it, women are very good at.
We can multitask. But in terms of my skill set, that's what I really feel passionate about getting better at. Is I want to be a great journalist, I want to be a really good writer, and I want to be known for my writing. So that's my goal. I'm not there yet. It's going to take a long time. I want to go and study. I want to do some journalism courses and some writing courses. And I want my name to be out there as a journalist.
So does this might mean you could write for other people as well?
Very much so.
Brilliant.
And the benefit of technically owning Gig Guide is that I can do that, but I can also go out and write for others. So,
and would you write for others as you, Gig Guide editor, or do you know, something like that, or would you just? I
think I would just write under my name. If NME wanted to give me a job,
NME. Obviously, if NME are listening,
I'm your girl.
Would you, if they actually offered you a job?
Tomorrow.
You'd be like to your husband, bye.
See ya. Go to London.
Wow.
100% I would.
So this is the time for you then, isn't it? You definitely have got that vibe coming off you. You've kind of you're in your most authentic self. You've had your kids. They're a bit older now. They don't, obviously I know a couple of them are still young, or one of them is really young, but equally, they're not as needy, are they? You've not got to get them. They're my biggest milestone for children was the fact that you don't have to put them in car seats anymore, do you? They can get themselves in and out of the car.
And just about get themselves dressed in the morning. Very much so. I think it's a lot of this is timing, is that it's worked out well that the children are that little bit more self-sufficient now, and the time is right. Absolutely. And it's been nagging at me for so many years that I wanted to be in this world, and I feel very thankful and very humbled I am almost in this world. And there was a little moment over this summer that was the moment that I just sort of stopped and I stood in silence and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. So I was very, very lucky to be offered the opportunity to write for Bloodfest, which is Youngblood's festival.
Ooh,
this is the first year that he's put this on. The lineup was incredible. There's amazing names on the lineup.
He has really hardcore fans as well, doesn't he?
Oh, it's like a cult.
Yeah.
But they are so committed to him. And the day was amazing. And I hadn't really gone into it, because it was one of the earlier ones that I did. I hadn't gone into it with huge expectation of work-wise, you know, having these amazing sort of moments there. I'd sort of gone into it thinking, it's my chance just to observe and write a little something, and we're going to kind of kick this off. But just a few little lucky moments happened that day, and a connection that I had with a friend. He phoned me while I was there. He was on site, and he phoned me and he said, meet me by the backstage door. And backstage was the only area that I didn't have a pass for. I could get everywhere else, but not backstage. So meet me by the door. I'm just going to take you somewhere. I've got something to show you, and then I'll bring you back. I said, yeah, okay, fine. Went to the door, and he let me into an area with his pass, so I was allowed in there with him, escorted by him. Still wouldn't tell me where we were going, and this was in the middle of Youngblood's set, so 40,000 people.
Wow.
He led me up this little ramp, and then he was like, look, and I was like, oh, okay, we're on the stage. And he'd taken
those, like, side
we were
things.
on the wings at the side of the stage, and like it sort of blew my mind so much I couldn't really speak, and so I sort of stood there in complete silence, just in awe of this thing.
Wow.
And that was the kind of moment where I thought, oh, I've actually made this my job.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening now.
Yeah.
And it was very humbling, and I did have that imposter syndrome of, I shouldn't really be here.
Yeah, of course you did. Oh,
you know,
yeah.
how am I here? How is this happening?
Yeah. So what was the first piece you wrote where you didn't necessarily know the band then? Because that's almost like, I'm thinking, oh my God, the nerves of writing, do you know what I mean, that up, and the pressure you probably put on yourself.
Oh my goodness, it was terrifying.
Was it?
This was pure luck, because I didn't have a connection here. So there's a folk punk singer called Frank Turner.
Oh yes, yeah.
He's quite niche, but a lot of people will know him.
Yeah.
And I just, complete chance, I found the email address for his. He's got he's with quite a well-known but an independent record label, and an agent there. And I thought, let's just chance it. We'll email and see. And she replied and said, yeah, you can interview him. I was like, okay, wow, this is actually going to happen. And so, yeah, we did it on Zoom, but it was just me and him. And
oh, God, we've got nerves for you.
My goodness, the amount of prep I did that day.
What time of day was that?
Well, it was the worst thing, because it was supposed to be at 2 p.m, so I spent my entire day just panicking about it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm meticulous with research, so I'd done so much research. I was I knew I was prepared, but I still panicked all day about it. But I had to wait until 2 p.m. to do this interview. It was in the middle of the summer holidays, so I had to drop the kids at my mum's so that I could do it. And then I get on the Zoom, and he doesn't appear. So I'm like, oh no. Then the record company phone me and they say, oh, he's actually at a gig at the moment. We've just done sound check. It's taken a bit longer. Can we have another hour? So then I had to sit waiting for another hour. And then eventually, and then he came on the Zoom, and he was just in a little green room backstage at his gig. And we had a good half an hour together. There was a full interview about everything he'd done that year. And it was terrifying.
And did you, I was going to say, but even writing it up, did you just keep reading and rereading and rereading it?
That one.
At what point do you let it go?
You have to.
Yeah.
You never fully feel like
you've covered everything,
and you could tweak all day long. And what I tend to do is I'll sit on my computer and I'll write a piece.
Yeah.
And then, as everybody these days works from their phones, 20, 30 times for the next week, I will get the document up on my phone and edit a word or two. Or
of course, because you can do that now.
Because you can do it everywhere and anywhere. I mean, and this again comes into that thing of being a parent of, you'd get to the school run 10 minutes early and you'd sit on your phone in the car park and I'd be there editing my writing.
Yes.
And, those just, you kind of see your two lives coming together at those points.
And you've got to make the most of your time, haven't you?
Yeah, completely. And then there was just a day when I thought, I can't look at this anymore, than I have done.
Just got to let it go.
And I just sent it off to be published because the guys in our office will put it up on the site for me and publish it. So I just sent it off and went, just do it. For me, I connect very much on an emotional level. And it's that when you feel that passion and that, you know, when you're kind of in that moment at a show, and it all kicks off, and I can really feel it. And they're the moments where I'm like, I need to write something and I need to write it now. Like while I'm doing. So those are always the pieces that I'm more proud of, are the ones where I've been at an event and it's been an in the moment piece. Those like a Zoom interview or a, you know, something like chatting for YouTube or those kind of things. It's a very different vibe. Great, very different vibe. And that's the area I need to learn to get a bit better at, I think.
Okay, so what next is very much, well, twofold. Working as a family to build Gig Guide, but equally carving out this new mega path for yourself. And wherever that goes. And you're obviously very open-minded about wherever that's going to go.
Very much so. Writing-wise, I want to stay in the sphere of music. Very much so. So I don't think I would write in any other aspect. But I want to be known as a good writer, and I want to get better at it as a music writer. So that's my future plans.
And are you? Because obviously you've touched on taking photos, and you just said you bring a photographer with you. But I'm guessing you don't always bring a photographer with you. Sometimes you take the pictures as well, do you?
That's one thing I'm not very good at.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's difficult. So I love my photographer coming along because this is
just
also his world. He loves it.
It's one less thing to think about, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes when you come as a team, it appears real professional, like it works really well. But there are often events that I only get one pass for. So in those ways, you have to apply. So they will have an in-house photographer.
Right.
And you can apply to their press company and you'll receive a very select number of in-house photos from their photographer. So there's always a way.
There's always a way.
Yeah, I'm not great at photography.
You could do a photography course.
I'd love to learn, and it would certainly make the job easier.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in it. I'm just not very good at it yet.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, is there anything else, before I ask you my 3 final questions and let you get back to your day, is there anything else we need to know about Gig Guide, your career, that you think you've missed?
Gosh, that's a good question, really, isn't it?
Obviously, we'll put all the links and stuff, we'll tag stuff on social and
Yeah. I think really it's just that we want to kind of be somewhere that is very approachable, and I want to be someone that's very approachable. So if you are in any way interested in that music world, whether it is small independent artists that are just doing it because they love it, or the huge stadium tours like Taylor Swift and Kings of Leon and Oasis, I want to be somebody that's approachable. And I love, my favourite thing in the world is just to have nonsense discussions with people about their music passions.
Yeah.
I love it because it helps in my career, but also it's, you know, a wonderful way to connect with people, and I love people and I love connecting with people. So I'm always open to anybody coming and asking me completely nonsense music questions, because then I'll stop what I'm doing for 2 hours and sit and waffle at you.
Oh my God. Fab. In which case, I will ask you my 3 final questions, if that's all right. So the first question is, and it might be quite poignant based on what you said, is there any life advice you would give your younger self? Could be any version of your younger self, but stuff that you just wish you'd known back then.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this, because of what we've talked about today, it's almost become really obvious in my head now, is that I shouldn't have played it so safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Because now I have faith that had I done this earlier on, all would have been okay.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I don't regret, you know, I learnt a lot from what I did, but I played it safe. And
do you mind me asking, did you play it safe because of your family setup? I mean, what did your parents do? Your siblings, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, very much so. So I just grew up with me, my mum and my brother.
Yeah.
And my mum is always somebody that has had to play it safe.
Yeah.
Because her life circumstance with my dad changed, and she was left in a situation financially that was difficult with 2 children.
Yeah.
And so from then on, she always took the safe route.
Because she literally had to.
And so she taught me that. And almost to the point where when I told her I was going to get a student loan and go to university, that was terrifying to her. Aww. She was like, well, how would you pay it back? You know, the word loan was terrifying to her.
Yeah,
and I had to reassure her that student loans work in a way
but we'll
be okay. Like,
so
we'll
she was, or maybe still is, very risk averse then.
Yeah, she very much. She still is now. Yeah, very much so. You know, if I tell her I'm doing some crazy thing, she's like, "Oh, have you really thought carefully about this?" Yes, Mum. fine. You know, like I'm going to a gig somewhere. She's like, Mum, can you just tell me the train timetable?
Yeah,
can you
give
tell
me
me where
3
you'll be
rings
every
when you get
time?
back.
Call me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mum, it's fine. I'm 40 nearly. But yeah, so my advice, if I had to go back and tell my younger self something, it would definitely be, if you've got a passion or an idea, just do it and stop playing it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then the second question is, do you think there's any life advice that your older self would give you now? So let's say 65-year-old Bryony, she's obviously just a mega movie star music journalist. You know, just living her best life. What do you think if she bumped into you now, would say to you now?
Oh, that's more difficult, I think, isn't it? Because that potentially could affect the way that I make decisions over the next few years of my life, couldn't it? That is much more difficult. I think it would probably be, if I'm looking at myself now, I think it would be something more along the lines of actually have faith that what I'm doing is good.
Yeah.
And to not keep telling people, which I tell everybody, oh, well, I'm doing this, but I've still got a lot to learn, and you know, I'm not the best I could be yet.
Caveat.
And I'm not, I know I'm going to get better at this, and you know, it's just the start. To stop saying all of that stuff.
She'd tell you to have the confidence of a mediocre man, wouldn't she?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, she would.
Apart from the fact that you wouldn't be mediocre, you'd be amazing. So, okay, so sort of believe in yourself more then.
Yeah.
Okay, then the final question is just some life advice or a mantra or anything, you know, that you live by that you want to impart on the world.
That your passion can also be your career.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't have to be a side project, and you don't have to do something you hate to bring the money in and then just, you know, spend a tiny proportion of your life enjoying your passion. There are ways nowadays to make it your career as well.
It's never been easier, has it?
No.
Yeah. So you say it's never been easier to carve something out in some respects. It doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean it's not scary, as you are obviously articulating brilliantly, but cool. On that note, I'm going to say thank you very much, Bryony.
Thank you for having me.
If you would like to hear more about this chat, see some pics and read about how to get started in this industry and or this role, then please go to our website www.thiswomanswork.org. The link is on this podcast page and across our socials. Sincere thanks.